Hello everyone. So we will deploy GitLab Community Edition on a Apple Silicon Mac with the Podman. So we will basically follow this blog post of mine for each and every step along with the detailed explanation and commands, whatever we need to execute. So in this blog post, I have covered many of the things related to the GitLab Community Edition installation, like what is GitLab and why we need to run it locally. Like there are various use cases like CI/CD pipeline development, and if we have any local Kubernetes cluster where we need to play around with GitLab and all those things. So those use cases are explained, and we will be referring to the official GitLab documentation for creating a container that have GitLab Community Edition instance. So basically here Docker container runtime is used as per this official documentation, but we will go ahead with the Podman. And I have explained here like why we are preferring Podman instead of Docker, because it's a daemonless architecture which eliminates single point of failure, and privilege model is also there, very native to Apple hypervisor performance. So all those benefits are there of using Podman. And in terms of prerequisites, every Apple Silicon MacBook fulfills all these prerequisites. So first, we will install Homebrew, which is the package manager for macOS, with which we can install various other tools. So basically, we will install Homebrew first so that we can install Podman afterwards with it. So Homebrew can be installed by using this command from official website. In my machine, I have already installed the Homebrew, so it will finish very quickly. So definitely it will prompt for the password. So we will just wait for a few seconds as it is already installed in my machine. So yeah, so that command completed. And after this, we can just check the Homebrew version with this command brew dash dash version. Okay, afterwards we can install Podman with this package manager. So the command will be very straightforward. Brew install Podman. So Podman is already installed on my machine. That's why it is saying already installed and up to date. And if you want to reinstall, we can run this command. So now I will just verify the podman command with podman ---- version. So as we can see, this is my podman version. And after this, we will create and start a podman machine. So basically, containers are Linux native technology. And in order to run containers with Podman, Podman creates a virtual machine, which is a kind of container host to manage and run all your containers. So that's why we need to create a Podman machine. And this is the command we can make use of to identify which other parameters and options are there while initializing or creating a virtual machine with Podman. So we will initialize a virtual machine with Podman by passing certain parameters initially, like memory, the provider, and whether the rootful should be true or not. But right now, as expected, there is no machines since we just installed the Podman. So with this command, we will create a machine and initialize it. So all these parameters, hyphen provider, memory, rootful, are explained in this particular post, like what's their values and why those are relevant to our use case right now. So once we run this command, it will pull the machine OS image, and it will take time depending on the network bandwidth. It's around 800 to 900 MB in size. Once the machine is created, we need to start it with the podman machine start command. And this command will take hardly 5 to 10 seconds to complete. So once the machine starts, we can verify the machine status with podman machine list, like what is the VM type, at what time it is created, the number of memory and CPUs. Okay, so machine started and now we can list it. So as we can see, this is the machine started a minute ago and currently running with these CPUs and memory and available disk storage. All right, now we need to create some persistent volumes for our container. So this is required for the GitLab container, and in the official documentation, we can see there are 3 volumes required for the configurations, for the logs, and other things. So that's why we will create those 3 volumes with the Podman. So yeah, we created GitLab config and then the GitLab logs and then finally GitLab data. And details around all these three volumes are also given. After this, we have to create some self-signed TLS certificates, like because we want to access the GitLab instance over HTTPS. So that's why I'm creating a new directory here first. And inside that new directory, I will create self-signed TLS certs with the help of OpenSSL command. And the major parameter here is CN, which is common name. And this indicates the host name for which this certificate will be valid. And we will be using this host name to access our GitLab instance. So any other parameter can be specified here apart from gitlab.local. So the certificate and its respective private key is created now. And all those OpenSSL command parameters are also explained. So the parameter for which, I mean the hostname for which the certs are created should have proper DNS resolution. So if you have any internal DNS server, then you can create a DNS record for that hostname pointing to your machine where container will run. Or if you don't have any DNS server, then simply you can add an entry in /etc host file of your machine where you can point your machine's IP address to that hostname. So in our case, we will go ahead with the etc host entry. Okay, so for starting the GitLab container, we definitely need to get the proper image tag, like from the official uh, documentation, we can find the Docker Hub link where the community and enterprise edition image tags are present. We will be going ahead with the community edition. So yeah, we will be using the latest available community edition image. And this is the Podman command we will use to start the container. And whatever parameters specified in this command are already explained in this post as well, which can be referred to afterwards if required. So yeah, so we can copy it and execute the command. So basically this command is providing like hostname for the container and some of the variables, like this will be the hostname with which we will access GitLab instance, the TLS certs and key path, HTTP, HTTPS port, the volumes, and another volume, the directory where certs are present, and the Docker image. So it will pull the image and start the container eventually. So once the container gets started, we can monitor the container logs to verify if there's any error or what exactly is going on with the podman logs command following with the container name and dash follow to continuously see the stream of container logs. Okay, so the container started and we can run the podman logs command to stream the container logs. In the Podman PS, we can verify whether the container is running or having any error right away or not. So container is up and running and we can check the logs. So as we can see, there are lots of things going on. And to identify whether the GitLab instance is up or not, in the container logs, there should be a message, GitLab reconfigured. So once we see this particular log entry, we can confirm that the GitLab instance is up and ready to access. So I will just copy this command and execute it. So as of now, that particular log entry is not there, which means the GitLab instance is still coming up. So we will monitor the logs until we see that particular entry. All right, I think I have seen that entry. Let's stop and grab that. Okay, as we can see, there is a log entry for GitLab reconfigured, which means the GitLab is up now and we can access it. So first of all, we have to add a local DNS entry. So I will get my MacBook primary interface IP address. So I can run this command ipconfig get if addr en0. So this is the private IP address of my Mac. And I will run this command so that the etc host file will have an entry of my private IP pointing to that hostname gitlab.local. So depending on your private IP and whatever hostname you provided while spinning up the container, you have to modify this command and run accordingly. And yeah, so we executed that command with sudo. It will ask for the password. And now we can verify this etc host file. So at the bottom, we can see that entry is there now. And after this, we can verify the name resolution is working or not with the ping command. So we are just sending a single packet to that host name, and let's see whether it works or not. So yeah, we can see we got a reply. So 64 bytes from that particular private IP of our machine. So the name resolution is working, but still there will be one issue. We will be able to access the GitLab instance on localhost or 127.0.0.1 IP address instead of the private IP or hostname. As you can see, connection reset error is there. This is because there is a specific process gvproxy, which is a part of Podman user namespace proxy, we can say. So this process ensures that the traffic from your Mac to the containers running inside Podman virtual machine is proper. So as you can see on localhost, the connection works, but on hostname, we are getting connection reset by peer. So that's why the connections are getting dropped in between the private IP of our Mac and the virtual machine created by Podman. So we need to allow those connections, those traffic into our Mac firewall. So first we can see on these ports 443 and 80 which process is listening. So as expected, gvproxy process is listening, and the explanation is provided about this already in this particular post. So now what we can do, we can go to the system settings, and then network and then firewall and allow the connections for gvproxy. So I have opened the system settings for my Mac, and in the network and then firewall, then options, I can look for those two processes, gvproxy, and ideally those are blocked, but I'm allowing all those incoming connections. And after that, the connections to the host name routing with private IP address will work. So as you can see, the curl command finally worked for this host name, and we can access the GitLab. So to log into that GitLab instance, we have to get the initial root password. So that root password is present in this particular file, etc GitLab initial root password inside the container, and we can execute this command to get the password. So this file gets deleted after 24 hours once the container is up. So definitely make a note of this password and change it at the first login. The default username is root, and we can make use of the password we got in the previous command. So if I refresh this particular page, gitlab.local, I can see warning is there, connection is not private because we are using self-signed certificates. So for now, I will proceed to access this site. The username is root and the password from this particular file. And yeah, the sign-in is successful. And now we can change the password. So for changing the password, we need to click on the profile icon and then preferences and then go to the password tab. So that's all explained in this particular post as well. So I will click on profile icon and then go to the preferences, password, and put the old password and the new password that we want to configure. So once the password is changed, we will log out automatically and need to enter the new credentials. So with the new credentials, the sign-in is successful. So yeah, that was it. Our locally deployed GitLab instance is finally up and accessible. So the commands are also given. Thanks a lot.